Alrighty, welcome back to another edition of Superkickin with Steven, your favorite host right here, the Greg 1 over there, Stephen A 1181 right here, fresh off AEW's Full Gear last night. Pretty good event there, and we got the results right here, Greg, so we can kind of jump right into it. Let's see, let's start with first off, what did you think overall as a take? My first take is there was a lot of blood because a lot of different people getting hit. So usually it's like once or twice an event. It feels like, but I felt like this had about 4 or 5 instances of it. So may want to make sure everybody's working the right way. But like the Jungle Boy Luchasaurus stuff, like you probably expected blood there, but Tony Storm ate a nice something. Pack had nice blood coming from his nose. I don't know if we actually saw blood in the MJF and Moxley, which is probably different, but a few different instances that I'm like, man, we gotta watch some of these hits here. So, but what was your kind of overall feeling as a whole on the event, Greg? And then we can get into some matches and kind of break those down.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great pay-per-view. It did stall out somewhere in the middle around that Tony Storm match, around the Brett and Saraya match. We left something to be desired. But overall, I thought it was really good as far as setting those new storylines up and the quality of the matches. There's only a couple matches that I wasn't really a fan of, but that first half I thought was just banger after banger after banger, and it kind of got tired there in the middle, and it finished off well with the 2 matches on the end with the Acclaimed match and then the Moxley and JF. So overall, I give it a solid B plus for sure.
Probably the best one of the year, I think, for them. It felt like there was just a different vibe for it. And you look at just the results. I think a lot of it made sense. Jungle Boy defeats Luchasaurus, so we're going to move on there. Finally, I think pretty good match there. Of course, we had to see Jungle Boy dive off the top of the cage. Nice to have his family there, the mom and sister there. How about the Death Triangle and Elite, Greg? Are we going to see Rey Fenix fully embrace the heel side, it looks like, and we're going to get a best of 7, which is always, now they have to go 7, right? I don't think many have bucked the trend. I think I always just remember the Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, the 60-minute Iron Man match or 30-minute, whatever it was, 6-minute, where Brock kind of dominated by 2 falls, but most of the time, these will go to 7. So, and now the last match will be in LA. So I'd imagine, Greg, that's where the homecoming is for the Elite. That's where they get the titles back, and then we're off and running into Revolution probably for that. So, but Rey Fenix embracing, kind of finicky with it, but we eventually got to that. So, and like I said, Pac ate a nice boot, I think, from Nick Jackson. Hopefully his nose is okay. Might need to break out the black Mamba mask for a little bit maybe. And, LeBron has embraced that. And, of course, Kobe embraced that. But, we saw all the different, parts involved here. But that triangle now is up 1. I'd imagine they maybe win this week to kind of put that down in there. But, we'll see. I definitely – obviously, so that's go 7, because why else would you call it a best of 7? What do you think overall in this match, though, Greg?
Okay. Well, first I got to give respect to the opening match, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. I thought it was going to be just kind of a kind of a match, but I was really impressed with how that match went. Um, the story they told, how physical it was, and that is it was reminiscent of an old school cage match from back in the territory days. So first, got to give props to Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus for opening with a 5-star banger. So props to them. Um, as far as the trios match goes, um, I think that was our first swerve because you and me were talking that this looks like the end. This is going to be the coronation of the elite, and this is going to be where Death Triangle splits off and Pat goes his evil way, and the Lucha Brothers go down the Yellow Brick Road to the Babyface Kingdom. But that didn't happen, and uh, when Phoenix used that hammer and knocked out Kenny, I was like, oh, okay, that was the one angle I wasn't considering. Is that they all go to the dark side. So um, Penta still looked unsure. Well, not Penta, but Ray still looked unsure about what he did. But you know, I think he realizes he's hit a point of no return, and now all of them have to abide by the dark side, and that's going to make these series of matches, which is an odd decision in my opinion. You just all of a sudden just come out with a best of 7 out of nowhere, but by doing that, you're ensuring to bring the elite back and get them their road legs, so to speak, um, in high quality matches, and shaking off that 2 months worth of ring rust as it is. So um, nobody is going to be sleeping on these matches. They're going to be killers, all 7 of them, and there's, like you said, no doubt that this is going to go 7. So interesting concept to just pull out of nowhere, but I'm here for it, and I'm happy that my guys didn't drop the belts right away. So it was an unexpected twist, and I'm here for it.
And I just wrote you a quick Facebook message. You're kind of cracking up here, Greg. So not sure if it's the headphones or the mic. Just something to check real quick when you got a second. But um, I was gonna, yeah. So Death Triangle. I mean, it seems interesting. Now we have the sides of the line. One's definitely heel, one's face, and probably with the opposite of what I would have thought. Especially if you have Don Callis back. You
Right.
have him kind of there, but um, yeah. So I do think the elite ultimately get that back, and this is kind of a feud you're going to play out for 2 months. Um, it is out of nowhere, but then at the same time, we know how much history these guys have. So I guess it's not that far fetched. It's not like we have Ricky Starks and Jungle Boy doing the best of 7 out of nowhere when they've never feud, or something like that. But
Mhm.
it is weird. Like all of a sudden, they just kind of announced it in the middle of the night or in the middle of the show as well. So, but Jade Cargill, of course, won against Nyla Rose. Jade wins for Outfit of the Night, Greg. The Thundercats. I don't know if I've ever seen Thundercats um, outfit themed or themed wrestling gear. So that was a pretty different idea um, to throw out there. But it looked great. I mean, if they need to recast the Thundercats live action, Greg, throw her there.
Right.
But her and Bianca have been arguing over who should be Storm for X Men. But we'll let that maybe that the Thundercats episode has already been decided. So
Hmm.
not much here. Anything on this match or
Yeah, the Thundercats throwback was very unexpected, but it was very awesome.
yeah.
It pulled back. It sent me back to the '80s and watching those cartoons, and
Mhm.
like Chitara lives. So super awesome and actually a good match. So um, yeah, I was impressed with it, and yeah, but she definitely won the outfit of the night, hands down.
Jericho won with the what was it? The help of Floyd, I think somehow.
Mm, I don't think Floyd was used, but he took advantage of.
He took advantage of something. I forget what. There was a lot going on. Or he did the Judas effect when Cesaro was doing the swing on
Yeah, he
Guevara.
just finished the swing.
Yeah.
So he's still dizzy, and then he gets hit with the Judas.
Yeah. So Guevara, tried to steal win. How about the double? A lot of double finishers on Jericho. Apparently, they were stretching that young boy a lot. Since now he'll go against Ishii on Wednesday night, Greg. That should be something to watch. Jericho really hasn't fought a guy like that size, so it should be interesting to see how he kind of handles that. Maybe Hager's out there to help even the side in a way, but I don't know. I don't think Ishii was a world champion, but maybe he was a tag team champion or something, or 6-man champion. But we'll get tomorrow Ishii and Jericho. That was a random name I thought they pulled out, Greg, for Wednesday night. But everything was there. I guess I was definitely wrong in my assumption that Claudio and Bryan Danielson would kind of come to terms or blows. They pulled a little bit, but of course, the end of the night, we kind of saw where everything was going. So I do wonder if what will become of the Blackpool Combat Club if they all do go their separate ways sooner rather than later. But not there yet, but I think it's coming, Greg. So what do you think about the ROH World Title match?
Really good match, just because we're anticipating the, like I said, the finger poke of doom moment between Jericho and Sammy, and we don't get it. They end up actually going at each other and going at each other pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the that aspect of it. That it's not just team on team, and the faction members actually mix it up with each other. And like I said, I figured Jericho would find some way to sneak out a win. And as far as the story they told, it was perfect. He takes advantage of the swing. Cesaro still gets his berries, and then bam, he gets hit with the Judas, and he slides out of town, by the skin of his teeth. So I enjoyed how it all went down, and see, now if there's going to be any repercussions for Sammy on Wednesday, and similarly what happens with BCC, because Danielson and Claudio are still boys, but what's going to happen with the leader, presumably out of the mix. So
do both factions need to just kind of be broken apart?
The BCC, yes. The JAS, not yet. There's still more that they can do. They're actually doing a better job than the BCC was of bringing in new young members and giving them a stage. They've done it with the women, and the J. They've done it with 2.0, and given the young people time to shine. Daniel Garcia, people who were buried on dark elevation for the longest time, and now they're getting main event level notoriety. So JAS, I think, is actually doing a better job at bringing along young talent than Blackpool is.
Saraya got the win. I think we both were kind of shocked by that. Does this push her into the title picture already, especially with Jamie Hayter getting the title?
No, not after one match. And I liked the match, but it wasn't a great match. It wasn't a showstopper. I mean, you go back to Britt and Thunder Rosa. They set the bar for having that moment that elevates them both to the moon. And you were hoping for that type of match with these two, and it didn't happen. I like the story they told as far as knowing Saraya came from a real place as far as the neck injury and being gone for so many years, and it wasn't an injury just written into the storyline. It was a real life injury, and are they going to avoid doing moves that center around the neck and, protect her? And Britt used a very neck-centric offense. So, showing one that, Saraya can take it and get back up and look good and have a full match. I think it was by at least a good 15 minutes or so.
Mhm.
And, she took 2 stomps. She took, these DDTs and everything. And, she got back up. She looked good. And, she squeaked out a win. And so it was a good match. It was a good, return to the ring, but, it wasn't an instant classic. But, so you don't get a title shot just off of that. You're going to have to work on it. You're going to have to string some wins together. And starting a good rivalry with Britt is a good place to start. So, Britt can always come out and go, I felt bad for her. I took it easy on you a little bit. And, now the gloves are off kind of thing. I anticipate that's what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue that because this is better than just being a one-off. And where else is Sarai going to go right now?
That's why I was curious if it will be a series of matches. Britt trying to talk up Saraya to give her another shot at her. So, Samoa Joe is your new champ. You did call that one. Going to be interesting. I don't think we dissolve one of the titles, so it should be interesting to kind of see Samoa Joe defending both these titles. Um, who do we think? I'm not sure, if we get Wardlow or Powerhouse Hobbs next, but good on Samoa Joe. This is definitely a beefy, meaty match that had everybody, each guy looking like at some point they could have won, which is what you want in a triple threat match. But now Samoa Joe gets to carry 2 titles around. We'll kind of see how that goes for him.
Yeah, like we said, a good Hoss fight, and this was another one of those, really good bangers. And I'm very happy that Joe won. Um, I don't think you're going to dissolve the one of the championships because you still want to keep ROH as a separate entity
Yeah.
and give it its own um, showcase. So until Tony Khan changes his mind and goes, okay, ROH is officially AEW now. Until then, expect him to just defend both belts, enjoy his status as champ, and um, he's going to be an awesome monster heel because he's not going to be the sniveling Jeff Jarrett, begging off kind of heel. He's going to be the, destroy everybody, and only the worthy is going to be able to beat him. So is Hobbs worthy? Is Wardlow worthy? We're going to find out, but we're going to have some great smash mouth battles in between.
Sting and Darby Allin won. There you go. Jamie Hayter, though, our new women's interim champion. I was kind of surprised. I mean, she had the crowd on her side, though. And then Tony Storm, like I said, ate a nice boot or something where she was losing the lipstick and it was messing with the blood and everything. So nothing like a good old, bloody shot like that. But the crowd was into it, and it should be interesting to see, her as champion going forward. I feel like the first time I really heard her talk, I saw a little clip from her media scrum, and I'm like, man, that's what I feel like I kind of forgot what her voice sounds like because I hardly hear her ever. But so yeah, it should be interesting to see what she does going forward and how that affects the partner or the relationship with Britt Baker. So I figured with the interference of Britt with Rebel, I mean, and you still had Jamie Hayter win, which is, I guess an out to give Tony Storm another shot. But I don't know. It's funny that Jamie's like, I wanted to do this on my own, but then you kind of went the route, if you're just going to have her win with the help anyway, in a way. But yeah, so any thoughts there, Greg? I mean, is Tony Storm, was the title run really worth it for her?
Yeah, it was pretty unspectacular. But that's what happens when, the feud you expect it to have with her and Thunder Rosa falls flat or unexpectedly disappears,
Yeah.
and you have to sub in other pieces. And the new ingredients, the food doesn't taste better. Um, so she did the best she could, and it was time to pass it on to Jamie. Jamie's mega over right now. I still don't understand why, but she is, and I understood that she um, would be a good social experiment to see what happens if we put the belt on her. And so she's going to get more time on the stick. She's going to get more time in the ring, and she's going to get to cut some promos and see if she can get even more over. So I think Tony just hit the wall as far as how high she could go, and they decided to pivot and put it on Jamie Hayter because she was already more popular. She was already a bigger draw than Tony was. So maybe it's because she's homegrown. Maybe it's because um, people who didn't know Tony outside of AEW didn't buy in. Whatever it was, but it is what it is, and now we get to see Jamie Hayter um, do her thing and see if she can do better.
Yeah. And I think we need to get rid of the interim tag because if we don't know the status of Thunder Rosa, then just take it off and say she's a women's champion. I feel like that kind of devalues it as well.
Mhm.
Like Tony Storm's first title reign will be listed as interim champion, which is I don't know if that sits well with us, but I didn't know if we'd have time for this match, Greg, but they got it in because it was running about what 11:15 ish, I think 11 ish here, and I'm like, well, maybe they'll just skip this match because I believe they do. They probably did cut Ricky Starks and Ethan Page, so I think that was scheduled to go on the pay per view. Now that will go Wednesday night. Uh, so the Acclaim won. We finally saw the breakup swerve in our glory, which was much needed. Uh,
Yep.
it'll be interesting which way we go as far as who gets the better, who gets the better end of that, Greg. I mean, it's all been swerve, but is it a way to get Keith Lee a little love too? So that's ultimately why you break that up to kind of see where those two go. Any thoughts on that direction of that?
No, I'm gonna just be sitting watching and see what they decide to do with it because it was obvious that they don't fit and they're definitely going on different paths.
Mm-hmm.
And so, are they going to be put into a feud with each other, or are you going to put them in different title pictures? So,
Yeah.
there's many different directions you can send them off in. So, I'm just going to sit back and watch.
And finally, now I will give myself all the credit in the world, Greg. I was
Yep.
watching this with my mom, who just watches wrestling AEW with me from time to time, but she watches WWE, and it was funny because I called it right before I was calling some of the comments that the announcers would make. So I joked like I acted like I had a little earpiece with me, and just like
Hmm.
saying stuff like that. But she was pretty impressed with my ability to call this right as it happened with MJF, with William
Hmm.
Regal. I think there was there was some shot after the match with Moxley kind of wondering what the hell happened. That was, some people's shaky camera footage like this, Greg, all the time. We got to get
Hmm.
people some tripod or something for their camera phones. If you can't hold your hand steady, get you a selfie stick or something, Greg, because you try to watch some of these after shots and just like this the whole time. And I'm like, come on, people, like, we're going to do a video. We got to get you that steady cam. But MJF is your new AEW World Champion. It's going to be interesting to see because I feel like there's not a lot of face. There's faces, yes, but are there faces that are going to be matched up against him? Like, are you going to have Omega maybe go after him as a face? But then he's booked with 6-man titles right now. I mean, Ricky Starks is probably going to win that against Ethan Page, right? I feel like because we kind of need a face to come right after MJF, and I don't know who that is. And I think you have a good point where I think Moxley needs to take time off. Doesn't need to, but he's deserved it, earned it. So if he takes off, that's fine. Maybe they write him off, on Wednesday night somehow. Like he's like, I got to go home and sort myself after all this. But um, yeah, I don't know who's next for MJF because the face side of things that can really match up with him is bare. I don't really know if I want to call it slim, Greg. I think it's very bare.
Yeah, I agree. And props to you. You called it exactly like it happened. Um, I thought the MJF would win. I just couldn't see how he was going to win. But it was an interesting scenario to pose, and boom, that's exactly what happened. We're not going to use the diamond ring. We're going to use,
The nuts.
the knuckles, and it does pull the whole storyline that they told about the email when MJF was the talent and Regal was evaluating him and said in the email and said you're not there yet. Um, and so now he's, getting the Nux, got the sign of approval, now you're ready. And so it's that betrayal is going to, be the end of the BCC, you think. And then, like I said, Moxley was supposed to get a couple months vacation before the whole business with the Elite and CM Punk happened. He ended up having to cancel his plans. So you could use this as a reason for Moxley to just disappear and clear his head because he's just too mad at it. He doesn't want to kill Regal because he has too much respect for him. But, um, he and there's an easy way to just have him with I don't know, an interview segment or maybe he does a one-on-one with Renee. That would be weird and interesting. Um, or better off just a backstage segment with Danielson and Claudio going, I'm going to, I'll see you when I see you kind of thing.
Okay.
Kind of less is more and, we don't see him for a couple months. So you don't have to have somebody that we didn't see coming just obliterate him backstage and that's why he gets written off the air. That the storyline and the way the match unfolded will do it for you. So there's that. And now we're all going to be sitting there on the edge of our seats waiting for that first time we see Regal in the ring. He's going to be standing next to MJF, and he's going to have a great promo to cut, I'm sure. This match was really good. I was really enjoyed the match, and the storytelling is everything. They told a great story. I was surprised by how Moxley was getting booed out of the arena. I know it was in, on the East Coast in New Jersey and just, close to New York, of course, MJF territory, but, it's still Mox and everybody loves Mox, but, the yays were going to MJF and the boos were going to Moxley, and I didn't expect that. Kind of a split crowd, yeah, but just wholly on MJF's side, that was unexpected. So I'm super hyped to see what's going to happen with MJF. I definitely don't think he should be a face.
Yeah.
They need to leave him as a heel because you don't mess with perfection, and he is the greatest heel on the planet right now. Sorry, Roman Reigns, you're number 2. MJF is it as far as the whole package. As the king heel. So. And with Regal, he was a villain most of his career, so it fits that he would be there as part of it. So
It probably makes more sense to hitch his train or wagon to a young guy rather than
true.
a bunch of veterans.
Established vets. Yeah.
I mean, Wheeler Yuta, yes, but they had to recruit Wheeler Yuta. So yeah, this makes all the sense in the world. So. Did you get a chance to watch it in a movie theater, Greg, or not? Or did you just kind of kick it at home?
Yeah, I ended up watching it at home. I was in the middle of a couple different events and missed the opening of it and didn't want to get there, halfway through or whatever. So I just decided to go home and start it from there.
Yeah, I do want to try the movie theater one of these times, just to
Yeah,
kind of see
definitely.
what it'd be like. Um, I I think even the theater I looked at, it was like less than 30 seats, so it wouldn't even be that big of a crowd, which would be fine. The other bit of news I think we want to talk about is this new Iron Survivor Challenge that NXT has brought up, Greg. So it's going to be for the men and the women for NXT. 5 of them will go in the match. 2 superstars start the match, and every 5 minutes a new one comes. The goal is to get the most wins or most falls. Sorry, falls could be a DQ, submission, or a pinfall. The winner gets a point. The loser has to sit in a penalty box for 90 seconds. It sounds like TNA had something like this before with their lockbox type deal or some penalty box challenge or something. So essentially, whoever gets the most falls at the end of this will be the new number one contender after all that is said and done. I like it. Until I guess I like it, the sounds of it. Because sometimes these championship scrambles are just people pinning each other and trying to get a pinfall, obviously, and get a point. But now this time, if you lose, you're out. You got to sit out for a few seconds. So that could really hurt you. And then that also could build you up if you're the person behind in the penalty box. You have to come out and scramble to try to get a pinfall. So I kind of like this idea. I'm going to assume the women's maybe opens up the night on December 10th, and maybe the men's ends the night or something like that, Greg. But um, should be. It's an interesting concept, I think. Um, a new kind of spin on something. So, what did you think? I didn't put this in our NXT recap just because I felt like it was just kind of its own thing. So, what did you think about this new Iron Survivor Challenge match that we're going to get at NXT Deadline?
Mhm. I missed NXT this week, so I didn't get to hear about this. Um, I do like the concept. It sounds kind of familiar. I forgot where I've seen or heard something similar to it before.
Mhm.
Um, Impact does sound like it probably where it happened.
Yeah.
Um, but if I like the idea and they'll make for pretty fast paced um, matches, kind of like Survivor Series and Royal Rumble tied together, um, just with fewer people.
Yeah.
So um, depending on the people who are in it, it can be really exciting, and um, you got to get the right people in there to tell the story that and not lose the audience. So you could put a handful of the newbies in there, but you need to have that balance so somebody can keep steering the ship
Yeah.
in a chaotic match like this. So, but I like the idea.
Well, I think it is one of these ideas that right now we don't know who those top contenders are. So it's a way to kind of throw 5 guys or 5 women and kind of see if somebody can kind of rise to the top, as they say. So, yeah, that was the only bit of news I had for this week. We'll get into Raw, SmackDown, NXT. We'll skip over AEW and then kind of close it up. But any other news, Greg, you had for the good of the cause here? Then we'll get a quick commercial break, kind of catch our breath from talking about Full Gear. But any other news that caught your eye this past week that I missed?
No, but I do have a question though.
Okay.
On going back to Full Gear
Yep.
and the arrival of the Elite, the new
Carry on,
song.
my wayward son.
What did you think of that?
So it's funny because you just mentioned that. So there's Kansas, the band, actually tweeted at them, Greg. So there you go. Kansas gave their full out love. Uh, it seems like a Bible thing, like the prodigal son coming home in a way. So I guess that's why they went with the wayward son type deal. Uh, I don't, I don't know if they need it going forward though. It feels like just a one time deal. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I mean, people like a good classic rock song that you could sing along with. So you know, it might it might just take off. I mean, I don't think people sing Jane as much as they thought they would for Orange Cassidy. and then Tarzan Boy, you know. So I will give AW credit. They like to go to the well of random obscure songs, I guess. But I get it in a way, Greg, because like I said, if we're going the Bible route and the whole idea of Cain and Abel, where one went away for a little bit. Now, granted, they had to go away, so I don't know. It is what it is. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised, but hey, if Kansas the band endorsed it, and apparently yesterday was the anniversary of the song, so that's kind of
Ah,
so maybe
okay.
I mean that had to be just a coincidence. I don't know if they totally but we will get a new BTE episode on Monday though, Greg. So we'll see if that comes into play there. But I personally don't think they need it going forward. I was just hoping to be I just think it should be for one night only. Probably is less, but then again, you've already paid for the licensing, so maybe you need to use it till you need to. But
Yeah, and that's what worries me is that the when they went to blackout and they had the stuff on the screen
yeah,
about being the sons and the past and the future and blah blah blah, and
and they
there was
did
pretty
it.
much and there was pretty much the preamble of the song.
Yeah,
So it explained why this was the song. I got
yeah.
that part, but I don't know. Tony Khan has this boner for, like you said, pulling out these obscure songs from out of the ether again.
I mean,
I don't
even
like
Jungle Boy
anything that,
probably needs a new song by now, right? I
yeah, Jungle Boy.
mean,
I still don't like Wild Thing. Um,
oh yeah, I did.
and I don't get the whole point with Jane. It doesn't fit
I
Orange
guess he used it
Cassidy.
on the Indies. That's why. That's what I've heard.
Oh, okay.
So,
Um, Still, he's more big time now. He needs
so
to get a
somebody
better
joked
song.
Brian Danielson needs to just get in a fight and be gone for a few days, and then we'll get Final Countdown, which was his old ROH theme. So, uh, yeah,
Yeah, but I hope this was just a one-off because one, that is not a song you want to come out to hype the crowd up for a wrestling match. It just does not fit. Um, so
well,
I
they
hope
did.
this is just the one-time thing and they go back to their
Yeah,
regular interest
does
music.
have a new Super Kick theme song, and of course they apparently abandoned the Wayward Son trademark. So you'd imagine they're not going to use use it other than last night. But yeah. Oh, and then we did forget too, Vicky Guerrero, Greg. What about that T-shirt she was sporting? It said
Oh,
"I'm your mammy." It was the Rhea Ripley. There we go.
Nice.
There's our
I
crossover. We've wanted it all along, Greg. We finally got it.
got to give the people what they want, right?
But
I was
because
too
at first I was
distracted
like,
by the
oh, it's
lowrider.
yeah, and the Eddie Guerrero entrance. So
Right.
that was pretty interesting to see. It wasn't the "I'm your poppy." It was the "I'm your mammy." So um, I'm guessing she had to do the old tuck and curl with the WWE logo somewhere, Greg. But um, unless they blacked it out or something. But yeah, so, that's. I thought those were kind of. But like I thought after we talked, I'm like, oh yeah, we forgot about the Young Bucks and Carry on My Wayward Son, which growing up here in Indiana, we hear that song a lot on our classic rock station, which I'm sure you did too. But after the first thousand times, it's like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really only that beginning. It's like the final countdown. It's only that beginning part that people love, and then it gets to this song. You're like, okay, we got it. But so
Yeah.
hopefully hopefully they debut a new one. Their dad can write them in rock. Their dad does their theme songs, right? For the Elite, Greg.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's written the Super Kick Party, and he does some of the songs on Being the Elite series. So uh, he played. There was a All Out maybe 2 years ago or something like that, or Double or Nothing, where they had him play like a little karaoke show or something. So their dad is a rock guitarist at times, but good old Christian boys who love their Kansas. So, Yeah.
Nice.
At least it wasn't dust in the wind.
Right.
I don't know
Well,
how
they
you.
say that for
I don't know
fun.
how you come out to that, Greg. But if it was that, I mean, with the way they're being dusted out, I guess you could have done that. But, so. All right, well, let's get a quick commercial break, and we'll get to Raw talk and SmackDown and NXT, and wrap up the show. So you can get going to watch your Chargers play tonight in their big
That's right, baby.
Sunday night matchup. All right, so some Raw talk. A lot of U.S. title talk again, Greg. Bobby Lashley, Mustafa Ali trying to get their shots at Seth. We had Lashley take out Ali in a match and then kind of take out his ribs as well. We're really going after the ribs of guys this week. And then Seth Rollins defeated Finn Balor at the end, Greg, to retain his U.S. title. Part of me really wanted Finn to get that title. I think to give Judgment Day something a little bit more, juice, a little more juice for them. But Rollins is obviously rolling as a champion, and I guess he's going to bring it back to U.S. Open Challenge. It should be interesting to see if he handpicks a person. As a heel, I think that makes more sense unless they are slowly teasing him face, Greg, and then maybe he does, let it be an open challenge all out. But I'm guessing Lashley probably wants to answer it, and maybe Rollins getting destroyed by Lashley, DQ wise is still a good outing for Rollins in a way. But it probably seems like Lashley's going to try to get that shot first, doesn't it?
It does, and it looks like Lashley's going to try to go heel, and people are already loving Seth anyway, so he's looks like he's been pushed farther to evolving back into babyface Seth. So
Yeah.
I think that's where it's going, and then what makes sense to have Lashley, doing dirty deeds to get his rematches or get the one up on Seth. And I'm all in for that. So, weird little round robin thing they got going on right now with, Finn and Seth and Lashley and Mustafa, but we're getting quality matches out of it. So you're not going to get any complaints from me.
And I guess I still wonder who will be the one to ultimately take it off Seth. I know he just got it, but we're always kind of looking ahead because I think there's bigger things at WrestleMania for Seth to do. So, unless he really builds this up to a higher level, which he could do. At the same time, I think there's bigger plans for him at WrestleMania. So, Mia Yim defeated what's her name? Tamina. Oh, she's still a thing, Greg. So good job on Mia Yim. And she joins Bianca Belair. Who is going to be the fifth woman for Bianca's team? I noticed they did run a little blurb for Beth Phoenix and Edge, Greg. So I kind of wonder if maybe Beth Phoenix might be the fifth woman.
Yeah, apparently, for one, all I had to do was mention Tamina's name, and boom, there she is. I'm gonna start calling
again.
I'm gonna start calling myself the Wizard now.
Do not call her.
But I noticed in Rhea's promo, she, mentioned, Beth's name a couple times and mentioned that she did her hair the way Beth did her hair as kind of a way to eulogize her.
Yeah.
So, putting her back into our consciousness like that, it kind of, says that I think she's going to end up being the fifth person because there's still unfinished business right there. you still got Rhea walking around now mocking Beth, and this is where we get the showdown that we've been waiting for between those two. So I think Beth's going to end up being that fifth person.
That makes sense. And then next week we'll get um, the advantage match. So it'll be Asuka and Rhea.
Rhea.
Yeah. Who do you think? Who do you think will get the advantage? Do you think we go the heel route? It always makes more sense to give the heels the advantage, so they're always one up, right? And then maybe you could have Beth as that fifth woman in, and really surprise the crowd, and go after Rhea or something like that.
No, I agree, except for the fact that I think this is what's going to give Oscar the win, is that while they're having that match,
Beth,
you're going to hear Beth's music hit, and
that
while
makes sense.
Rhea's distracted, boom, Oscar's going to hit her with, that roundhouse kick and knock her out cold, and, the good girls are finally going to get to, have the numbers advantage for once.
Chad Gable got a win over Matt Riddle. No Elias there, so maybe next week Elias will be back and kind of even the odds. But we finally have stakes, Greg, for The Miz and Dexter Lumis. So apparently Dexter's owed a lot of money by The Miz. So if he wins, he gets his contract and the money back. Well, I forget, what was The Miz's? If The Miz wins, does he just get Lumis no contract, I think it is? For some reason, I can't remember what, or does The Miz have any? I think The Miz didn't really have any stakes.
I don't think it gets any stakes, no.
So maybe The Miz will try to sneak something in there next week, but probably should just be Lumis winning and moving on from all this. I mean, it was a nice little, start, but I think the sooner it's done, the better.
Yeah, I mean, we stretched the story out to as far as it can go, and we've presented Lumis and gotten the universe familiar with him, and now we can officially give him his contract, and get him doing his own thing apart from the Miz and Johnny. So, put a bow on it and finish the storyline. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Dominic Mysterio got a big win over Shelton Benjamin. I like the promo where he's like hiding behind Damian Priest. It makes me think of the old Tom and Jerry, where you had like Jerry or you had Tom hiding behind somebody when there's a big bully cat in front of him. So I kind of like that aspect. Io Sky defeated Dana Brooke, so Dana Brooke is still a thing, but that didn't matter there. How about the new Austin Theory, Greg? Let's go into that, because we kind of thought Austin Theory would be here, maybe go away for a couple weeks, but they're like, nope, we're just going to keep him on TV and just take away his selfie stick or selfie mode and just make him a killer, grow out the beard a little bit. So do we think this is going to work for Austin Theory, though? And he did, of course, get the upper hand at the end of the night. Maybe he does get his U.S. title back. So what are we thinking on this resurrection of Austin Theory, Greg?
I love it, because first you went ahead and stripped away the old Austin Theory being kind of a goof, or kind of a clown, too self-absorbed with his selfies and everything, and he just had that point where he just snapped. Somebody says something backstage and that gets him, and now he's gone from being the comedy character to a guy who's pissed off and he's not going to take it anymore. And I like him going in and beating down Seth, and really being merciless, because that showed a side of him that we have never seen, not on NXT, not on main roster, not ever. And it's such a drastic departure from what he was doing that it's going to get over, and we're going to tune in to see what he's going to do next. And the way he was wasting people, and everything from the way he played it and his facials, and you believed it. I was watching it, like, this guy's scary looking. And it's the same Austin Theory that we saw a month ago, goofing off backstage and taking selfies with everybody, but this is a totally different animal over here. So I love it. They kind of just rebuilt him on the fly instead of, like you said, taking him off the TV for a month and bringing him back as something else. You didn't need to do that. You can go and have him just be savage and, go all out against, whoever was in his sights. And I think it went over great. Um, I believe this, persona change, and then we can take this and keep moving forward, keeping him in the U.S. title picture. And next time he and Steph end up in the ring together, we're going to get a completely different match. We're going to have a totally different, um, feeling about it. And so I hope we have another couple weeks with Austin just going off on people and destroying people. And that's going to be his, metamorphosis right in front of our eyes. So I love it. I want to see more of it.
And then we also saw Baron Corbin defeat Tozawa. I kind of like the APA callback with Corbin, Tozawa, and JBL playing some poker in the back, so it was kind of fun. Tozawa put a nice thank you note outside or on Twitter, Greg, with the ninja outfit on a bed and just saying thank you. So you wonder if maybe that was all we wrote for Tozawa in WWE, or at least finally getting rid of that gimmick. But I think the writing's on the wall that it won't surprise us if there's a thanks, best wishes, your future endeavors for Tozawa, and he can go do what he needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, the 24/7 era is officially dead. The title's dead. The whole lineage of it is dead. Thankfully, we're going to keep, we still have use for R-Truth because the guy is priceless. So you got to keep him around. But all the other pieces that orbited around him are going to be gone. So the 24/7 train that we used to see, we already don't see him. And I think Tozawa was the caboose on that train. So there's not a place for him anymore. So let him go somewhere else and recreate his character and just, shed that skin and do something different, kind of like Theory, in a different company or back in Japan or whatever he wants to do. But it was entertaining TV for a while. He was in some memorable sketches, the double wedding, that whole business, the ninja bit during the pandemic. And so he's left a little legacy behind, but, trying to let him go and do something else. So it does sound like that's what they're doing with, the note and the ninja suit and so on. So, best of luck to him moving forward.
Some NXT stuff. I know you didn't get to see it, Greg, but I can talk it up, and you can throw your thoughts where you can. Braun Breaker defeated Von Wagner. It is what it is there. Zoe Stark, starting a new, hunter of NXT kind of era. We'll see if that does anything for her. Into Sheer won. Apollo Crews defeated JD McDonough. I thought that was pretty surprising there. At least Apollo Crews is not injured, and he's not UK guy, so he couldn't get written off TV. So I guess he had to pick up the win there. But what about Carmelo Hayes? I think this NXT North American Championship probably be the last match we see him down there, right?
I don't know. I'm thinking
or at least
the Raw.
maybe through the Rumble.
Well, I'm thinking Raw at the WrestleMania is where we're going to see Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can find something, simple, short, story for him to tell before we get to that. But there's no reason to bring him up to the main roster right now. Raw at the WrestleMania is pretty much the official start of the new season, and bringing him out on that show would be big time. So, find something else for him to do, or actually you can, do him, once a month or something like that, and just cut promos from the barbershop on. But keep him on TV in some facet, because whenever he's on the screen, he's, we're all glued to him. But he's proven himself. He's showing that he's ready, and you want to save them for a big moment. So if it's not going to be at WrestleMania, I do Raw after WrestleMania. And then as far as the Royal Rumble, it would be fun to see him in the Rumble.
Yeah, I think
But
he always gets a shot there.
so I'm not so certain if you want to expose him on the Rumble or not. Um, I'm assuming it won't hurt, but I'd rather wait and have his grand entrance on the Raw after WrestleMania.
Indy Hartwell picked up a win, just showing that heel side again. But the end of the night is where things kind of got interesting with Isla Dawn showing up and spitting in the face of um, Alba Fire, and that kind of retained the title for Mandy Rose. Kind of nursing a knee injury there. Hopefully that's all good. But Mandy Rose keeps rolling on. I guess at NXT Deadline we could get Alba Fire another title match with Isla Dawn and Mandy Rose involved. So, but I don't know how much more work down there Alba Fire should be doing, Greg, if she's going to keep losing title matches.
Right. I mean, she's another person who's definitely ready for the main roster, and main roster definitely needs some more depth, some more, legit contenders.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see a match with her and Ronda Rousey. That would be great, for one of Ronda's open challenges.
Yeah.
Start a little something there. But yeah, she's definitely ready to come up and see what she can do on the main roster. So I'm curious to see that segment now because I can't think of who Isla Dawn is. And imagine she's spit mist or
Yeah, it was missed. Not legit
well,
spit. I think I don't know if she was on like an early episode of 2.0, but I felt like she was for some reason. So she's a UK stalwart, so her showing back up was surprising in that sense because you had to wonder because you didn't have JC Jane, you didn't have Gigi to back up Mandy Rose. So it's not like Isla Dawn's involved with them, but it's a way for Mandy to keep the title
right.
through heel ways. So. And then how about SmackDown? So Greg, Sami Zayn's guaranteed victory. So either he'll win the match for them or he'll lose the match, right? At Survivor Series. I feel like it's going to be one way or the other. You don't have Sami Zayn use that line if you're not going to have him involved in some big way.
True. Sammy's already put his foot in his mouth saying he was gonna beat Butch to start it off, and then the bloodline would cruise to victory in War Games, and he's already shown he's not as good as Paul Heyman when it comes to pronunciation. So he may be the anti-Paul. Everything he says is wrong. So, but I think we're on the road to Sammy and Kevin getting together and drawing out and taking the titles off the Usos. So yeah, I think that's where we're going, and it's gonna be fun watching it all unfold. But yeah, I think Sammy's gonna be the straw that serves the drink, and the one who loses or wins the match. So totally agree.
Ricochet won. He'll be against Braun Strowman. Looks like Braun might be the Heavy Dawn's favorite, Greg, for this whole World Cup. So him and Gunther can go at it. Are we okay with that?
Yeah, totally okay with it. We've already seen Ricochet against Gunther, and it was a good match, but been there, done that, and the way they portrayed Gunther actually getting out of town when Braun's in the ring, the way he did, it creates that curiosity, and they haven't matched up against each other before, so we're getting something new. We get somebody bigger than Gunther, as a challenge, and it's going to be another baller of a house fight. So I think as much as I love Ricochet, I think that's where it's going. Is that we're going to get our new matchup, and they're going to try to recreate the magic that they did with Gunther and Sheamus,
Yeah.
and see if they can do it with Braun Strowman this time. So
Yep.
I'm
And
excited to see it.
I don't know if that magic will be there because Sheamus is actually a pretty decent wrestler. Braun is just a boss. And so,
Right.
anyways. How about Karrion Kross and Madcap going at it? And then we see Emma now officially aligned with Madcap. Maybe we'll get a little mixed tag team match there. But Karrion Kross also had a good backstage segment with the Usos, saying he'll come after Roman when he's ready by himself. So I'm wondering if maybe Royal Rumble, it might be Karrion Kross and Roman Reigns. Uh, even if Karrion loses, it could be a good shot to see if he really matches up in that regard. Kind of like Riddle, a good test to see if Karrion Kross can do that. So, what do we think about that idea, Greg?
I didn't like it at first, but the more I thought about it, I changed my own mind. Um, for one, you just had Emma come back a couple weeks ago, and you're already attaching her to a man. It says she couldn't, stand on her own.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that part of it because I'm an Emma fan, have been for years. But the more I thought about it, is if it turns out to be where she ends up being, um, the unofficial valet for Carrie or for Madcap, and they end up getting portrayed as a couple, or closer than two people normally are,
Yeah.
without just overtly saying it. Um, she could be the reason that we see those mixed matches and we get to see Scarlett finally in the ring.
Yeah.
The only footage we have of Scarlett in the ring is you have to pull up the indie footage, and so most of us, like me, haven't seen Scarlett have a full match or know what she can do, and that's going to be a point of great curiosity because we've seen how great she looks escorting Cross, but we've never seen her throw a move. And so if Emma's in there, now we get to see it. So that makes me excited just to see what she can do, and then having her be the fuel for Madcap's fire, and pulling some extra out of him. It could be fun watching this rivalry and finally having a woman to um, counter Scarlett with, and bringing Scarlett to take off the high heel boots and put on some wrestling boots, and you know see if she can really go, because then you can put Scarlett into a bunch of other mixes if she's as good as we hope she is.
LA Knight, he effed around, Greg, and he found out, right? As they say. Um, Slaps Bray twice, but got the last of the war, unfortunately, with a bunch of stuff thrown on or placed on or toppled on top of him. So, but that shot where you see the Bray Wyatt mask, like in the background, I mean, that
Mhm.
was a shot for the ages. So, this should be. I do want to see Bray actually wrestle, though, Greg, to see if he's has he changed up his wrestling style? Does he still have Sister Abigail? Does he have a new fit? Like, we eventually have to see Bray actually wrestle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to happen, but we're getting the slow burn into them slowly telling us if we're going to get heel Bray or if we're going to get face Bray. Is he going to break before he actually gets in the ring and
Yeah.
he's going to be evil Bray, or is he going to control his inner demons and be more of the cult leader, the sympathetic character kind of Bray? So um, it seems like each week he's on one side or the other. And so this segment, loved it so much. Because, like I said, with my dude LA Knight in there, it puts him in probably the second most important storyline in the whole company. Um, Everybody wants to see what Bray is going to do. And so I love it that LA Knight was the guy who was picked to be cast opposite him. And like I said, he can't hang with them on the mic in the traditional sense, but having him come from his, self-absorbed place and Bray in the place that he is, and those two, um, the interactions
Worked
that
out.
those two have, it actually worked really well. And the whole business with him apologizing and LA Knight slapping him in the face, and it was great. It was gold, and you go backstage and you get. I got the LA Knight sound clips that I wanted. I got the it's old catchphrase. It's
Yeah.
not an insult. It's just a fact of life. It's what I've been telling you about, and he finally said it. So all the LA Knight / Eli Drake tropes are out of the bag, and it's going to happen now. Um, Now they did kill him off at the end of the segment, so to speak, but now we got the onus for that first match, and both of them are going to have reasons to go and kill the other. So I'm excited for it, and happy for LA Knight that he's getting this stage. Bray's going to be kill it as he always does, but it's gonna be fun watching them. It's not going to be a short program. I don't think.
You kind of, oh, go ahead. Yeah, that's what I wonder too. Will this be a quickie? Kind of Bray gets over on LA Knight and we move on, but it feels like it could be longer. And probably that's, if you're not going to have Bray fight all the time, then that's probably better. So,
Yeah,
Braun
and
Strowman,
I think because it's undefined. He still
yeah,
doesn't know who he's going to be yet.
exactly.
So while he's fighting with himself, he's also fighting LA Knight, and he doesn't have to be on every show. But every show that he's not there, LA Knight come out and run him down on the mic, and he is the master at it.
Yeah.
And the fire stoked for the week that he is come back and they do clash. So it doesn't have to be every single week. It can be one's there and one's not, one's there, and they're both so gifted on the mic that they'll keep us interested while Bray goes through his inner turmoil, so to speak.
Yeah. Braun Strowman, New Day defeated Imperium, and like you said, we saw Gunther kind of run away, unfortunately, from Braun. Hopefully next time that won't happen. I think you got to have Gunther look like he can stand toe to toe with him, which he can. So, then how about Butch defeated Sami Zayn at the end of the night, Greg? And we saw the return of Kevin Owens, which I kind of was surprised because apparently there was all the talk that he was hurt and he was going to be out. And I was like, well, who the hell are you going to put in there? And lo and behold, Owens is fine, so he must have sold the hell of it at a house show or something. But Owens needs to be the fifth man. He will be the fifth man. He always seems to be that odd man at War Games now,
Right.
Greg. So him and the Undisputed Elite, the Undisputed Era always seem to be the War Games people. So we'll get 5-on-5. And that thing is, like you said, it's going to tear the house down. I think good 25, 30 minutes of the end of the night at Survivor Series. And it should be interesting to see which side stands tall at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get closer to an hour because it's gonna take half an hour just to get all the combatants in the ring and actually start the match. Um, so I'm super hyped for it. Kevin, um, we haven't seen Kevin in a while, so whatever injuries he's been nursing must be better now. He's ready to go, and he got a crazy pop when his music hit at the end of the night, and yeah, everybody was perfect in that last segment with the Sammy match. So is that this needs to set the bar and set the bar really high for War Games if they're going to keep it on the main roster. This would be brutal and violent and just what you'd expect from a match like this. So I have all the faith in the world, given who's at the controls and the people who were in the ring that that's what they're going to do. They're going to deliver brutality. They're going to deliver, a 5, 6, 7 star match, because all the talent in this ring, you don't have a bunch of green guys in there like in 2.0, or,
Yeah.
you got guys who all know what they're doing, who are all, just masters of their craft, and we're going to get some genius at work. So I'm super excited for it. I think it's going to be one of the best matches of the year. And, we'll save who's going to win for our preview,
Well,
day before, or whatever.
yeah. Yeah. We'll have to
But
figure out what day. It's hard, Greg.
yeah.
It's on Saturday next week of Thanksgiving, weekend. I'm guessing we'll do it the day before, or we'll do it Saturday. I'm thinking.
Yeah, we'll
But
figure out
sometimes that,
something. But
yeah, sometimes that Friday's hard to do just with things going on. I know I'm heading to a Pacer game for sure at 8. Normally it's at 7, but we have a tree lighting downtown, so they bump it up to 8 for that. So,
nice.
Friday night, well, I guess I have all day Friday though too. Anyways, yeah, because I got Friday the day off. So, yeah. We'll skip over this. I didn't write anything. Anything for the good of the cause, Greg? For last call.
Yeah, are you surprised we didn't? Well, given the elite, but we knew the elite was going to be back. Surprised that there was no big reveal as far as a new signing. Somebody is all elite last night.
Well, I don't know who. I don't right now. You're not hearing any names. I feel like everybody's kind of entrenched. I think next year is the big year. It sounds like. Well, and then the year after with MJF, but if you think about AEW contracts, it's almost year 3 or 4 now, or it's year 3 for Dynamite. So I'd imagine contracts are about 3 to 4 years, Greg. So I don't think next year might be the. Now I guess we did kind of bypass it, but Omega will wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom against Will Ospreay. So maybe next year you wonder if will Will Ospreay bite the bullet and come over to AEW, or Jay White. They did show Jay White was at a basketball game. I think it was at the Brooklyn game, so he was close. But I think next year, I'm curious. Or if you think about like WWE contracts, like right now, I mean, we got to figure out what's going on with Andrade. But I don't. I feel like there's no names out there that you're dying to see jump or dying to see to sign, right? I mean, I don't know any names that people are even, building up anymore. It feels like I feel like AW has their kind of impact as their camp. I mean, Chelsea Green's the one that is out there. She cut a promo saying, "I'm going home," so you wonder if maybe she might show up on WWE soon, Greg, or Matt Cardona. His name keeps getting thrown out there, and he's tweeting out pictures of him as Zack Ryder, but he said he's not going to go back as Zack Ryder. So you wonder about that. But it wasn't that surprising. I think last night Full Gear needed to be about who was there and what they could do. And there was a guy who tweeted out the media scrum was uneventful, and I tweeted back. I was like, well, that probably needed to be. I don't think they needed the negative attention. I think you need the positive attention and the positive feedback. So, but right now, I just can't think of any names that are out there that I'm like, I got to see them on TV. I don't know. Is there any names that you had in mind that you thought might have popped up on TV last night?
No, but we've gotten so used to
Seeing people
all
like
these
that.
big events, seeing 2 or 3 people pop up that
Mhm.
so and so is now all elite, and the place going crazy, and that being the buzz for the next couple of weeks. That you start looking for it, whether you know who the name's going to be or not, and
Yeah,
that's part of the magic of it, is that people we weren't on our radar, weren't thinking about, and boom, here they are. So that being said, he did bring in a lot of people,
yeah.
and so I agree with you saying it's probably best to focus on the people you have and reshuffling the deck and getting ready for 23, and the Elite being back, pretty much as big as return as you could have projected to begin with. And let's not forget that the House of Black demise has been greatly
Yeah,
exaggerated.
apparently they are back. They've been doing
Right.
promos somewhere.
So I'm
they
excited
should
for
be
that.
back soon.
We're going to get to see them again. I was bummed that Alistair was going to leave because I thought they'd given him some awesome treatment as far as, his look, his
Yeah.
gimmick and everything. It's been money. I just wish he'd done more stuff by himself, because when he was doing matches by alone before in the House of Black, and that interest and that music and that whole Undertaker vibe that he was giving off was just amazing. And not saying it's any less with the House of Black, but I enjoy it more as a single than as a leader of a faction. But I still love the House of Black regardless. So that's something we're going to have to look forward to moving forward very soon. And I don't think there's anybody else that we can think of, not named Sasha or Naomi, that could have that huge an impact if you did bring them in right now, or
And if you've
when
been
there's
following
coming.
Sasha on Instagram, I think the writing is there that she's done. I mean, she's tweeting a lot about wrestling, like training other places. She's really on this seat on the cannabis stuff, Greg. Not literally on it, but like selling it. And I don't know how that would go. I don't know how that goes. So in WWE's marketing scheme, but
She's
yeah.
selling cannabis.
Yeah, her own little line of it. So
Wow.
I don't
Okay.
know if it's spray or what it is, but looks like she's got her own product line coming out soon with whoever you work with on it. I don't know how that all works, Greg, but
Well, given her bloodline, so to speak, I
yes,
wouldn't be surprised,
yes.
considering
Yeah.
who her
I'm guessing she has the connection.
uncle
for that.
is.
Yeah, she has connection
Uncle,
for that. So.
Uncle Snoop.
Yeah, I'll get
Um,
the Snoop on the stoop for your kids this Christmas. Set up the elf on the shelf, but yeah, but we still need Naomi in the bloodline. Like I'm still gonna vouch for that. Just
Absolutely.
let that happen. So. All right, well
But
that's all.
is her going to say she turns up at winter is coming? Is that a bigger than Soraya coming over?
I think so, yeah, because I think you want to. People have been harping for her to go there anyway. So, and I think she's still got a lot in the tank. We didn't know if Soraya had anything in the tank still. Maybe she was just going to go to A. I felt like she had to wrestle AEW because why else would you go there though? If you were just going to be on TV, you would have just stayed at WWE and got a paycheck. So I think Sasha there as Mercedes, with all of her new catchphrases, I mean, yeah, I think that's a bigger deal because you know what she could bring, and I feel like she'll have that chip on her shoulder, Greg. So that could really mean a lot as well.
Yeah.
I don't. Not that Soraya doesn't have a chip on her shoulder. I think she always does, in a way. And that could be a good thing. It doesn't necessarily need to be like. I think Soraya always wants to prove people wrong. So, but I think Sasha really wants to prove herself outside of WWE, and then maybe in a year come back. That next year's Royal Rumble shows up at number 30 or something like that and wins it. But I think the next year I do see her gone for at least a year. Now that, like I said, there's a lot of her training in like Barcelona and in Spain, like different places, Greg. Not, I don't think she'd be all upfront about if she was coming back to WWE, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they would keep that low key as possible. So, yeah, that's all I got though tonight. You got anything else for the good of the heart, good of the matter?
Well, stay tuned. About an hour from now, Chiefs Chargers kick off. Got to rep my crew and get this big win. we get Mike Williams back. We get Keenan Allen back on a pitch count, but he's back. And so Justin Herbert's getting some much needed weapons. Um, so I'm excited for that. Shout out to your crew, even though they lost to the Eagles, they were this close to beating them. So I was rooting for them for your sake, but
Yeah.
you know,
Couple
shame
bad
the way
things
that
at the
ended.
end.
Yeah.
We
So,
can't score. I mean, I think we're averaging 15 points a game, Greg. If you can't, in today's NFL, if you can't score 20 every game, good luck, right? I mean, and last week I think we put up 25. Like, we haven't broke 30 yet. So, I mean, we're lucky to break 20. It feels like, unless your defense is, the Steelers black curtain or iron curtain, whatever that was back in the day, or the 85 Bears, Greg, you got to put up 20, 30 points a game to give yourself a good shot. So, there have been a lot of games I felt like, 21-17, 23-20. So, I mean, you don't necessarily need a lot of points, but you still need them at the right time and all that stuff.
right.
This year's, and now apparently there is a report that maybe there's a investigation or an inquiry into the hiring process of Jeff Saturday, which is all we need, Greg. Because apparently there's but people are saying, well, the Rooney Rule doesn't pertain to interim head coaches, but interim head coaching status has its own process. So, whatever.
Right. I have time to Rooney Rule at the middle of the season.
Yeah. Which is, and I'm kind of wondering if Saturday, there's definitely a change of vibe in there. So there's a pretty good shot he gets a call next year and just takes off the interim.
Right. Today says a lot. They fought their guts out and almost beat Philly, who was undefeated until last
The
week.
Vikings.
So, yeah. So that says something for him and how good Saturday is, and guys wanting to, fight for him. You can have a coach come in there nobody likes, and everybody starts planning their off-season vacations.
All right. Well, we'll end this show and come back sometime this week to give you Survivor Series. It's weird because it's like, oh yeah, it's this weekend. It's going the old school way, Greg, of being right around Thanksgiving. I mean, it's pretty close. I think the first few years is actually on Thanksgiving night or right after, maybe that next night after. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Survivor Series though. Got some good singles matches, and of course the War Games matches will be the meat of the matter, as they say. So give you all the Thanksgiving puns this weekend when we talk that up. So enjoy the night and enjoy your game tonight, Greg. The Chiefs are 2 games up, right? Are they in the win column?
Yeah, they're 2 games
this
up.
is
So
huge.
it's very important. We can pretty much make up 2 games by winning tonight.
You guys are second, right?
Yeah.
Then Raiders are last because it was funny to look at power rankings where the Colts were last week in like whatever NFL, and then we jumped up because of the win, and then the Raiders were last. So that was kind of interesting to see that jump. But, all right,
They're playing each other tonight to stay in the cellar. So
yeah, not that you want that. So. All right, well, we will enjoy the evening, enjoy the night, and talk to you guys later.